Man, you already know what it is. Jay Williams, let's live life, and we're back. If I hear one more person say, my friends from prison, I really think my head is going to explode like, what's that little boy from the Garbage Pail Kids? Atomic Atom or something like that. My head's going to pop. I can understand if you made a friend in prison. That's possible. I can say that. I've got a couple guys. When I say a couple, I'm talking 2, maybe 3. Out of all the years I did, that I can put in the category of friends. But guys throw that word around so loosely, not realizing dudes ain't your friends, man. You was just something to do when there was nothing to do. A lot of times they only hung out with you because you had something to offer, or they were bored. But if it really came down to the get down, you would see real quick who your friends are. Your friends will be the first ones they'll be the first ones to eliminate you. Either because you got something they want, they're jealous of you, you're standing in their way, they owe you money, they see you as a threat, you taking the spotlight off of them. They'll do things to get your ass gone. They'll tell you quick. Anything pops off in here, man, I got your back. I'm trying to tell you, man, they don't want no pressure with you. They're going to have to deal with me too. Then the moment comes down and it's crickets. Your homeboy was just standing right there. Y'all ready to go toe to toe. This dude comes with his homeboys. You got a couple of yours. Thought he was solid a minute ago. You look back, hey, where you going? Hey, man, I called all these dudes out, man. Wait. Oh, damn, this is a bad day. I've had it happen to me. I've seen it happen to others. I've literally had guys I trusted turn on me and try to get me eliminated, get me out the equation over small things. That's what we're going to get into today. Prison, who can you trust? Your friends. Being stabbed in the back. Me, at the ripe age of 42 years old, I've come to understand. In this lifetime, you're lucky if you got 5 people you can call your friends. A lot of times, your family ain't even your friends. You're going to find your friends along the way throughout your journeys when you least expect to. The oddest people, at times, become the people that you can truly trust. The ones that will take that lifelong trip, that if it comes down to it, they'll die right beside you. They'll fight right beside you. And what they say, they mean. But that is a rare commodity in today's world. The bottom line is, if you're one of those people that thinks you have a whole lot of friends, the honest truth is, you still have a whole lot to learn. You know how to seen it, you know how to lived it, so let's relive it. What I'm about to say is going to sound crazy to some of y'all. When I first started doing time back in the 90s, gangs wasn't a thing. I never seen gangs as a thing in Philly at all. To this day, I'm not going to say they're not there, but to this day, I've never been locked up with any gang members in Philly, man. Even doing time in Virginia, I didn't start seeing that stuff, like legitly seeing it on a large scale until my last sentence, until 2004, 2005 timeline. Prior to that, you'd hear little dudes claiming they were in a gang, but it would be a dude over here, a dude over there. You fast forward many years later, I get into the system, and the system is now flooded with the gangs. I know that sounds crazy. I know for the West Coast, the 80s and the 90s was, some of y'all's most treacherous years when it came to the gangs, with the Crips and the Bloods at the times beefing, and this set beefing with this set. So I know for y'all that sounds crazy, but that wasn't the way it was out here. The gangs slowly started integrating themselves, and it was like the snap of a finger, boom, they were everywhere. Hundreds of them. And they were recruiting daily. That messed up time for a lot of guys that knew how to do time, guys that have been doing time. It took everything I knew about doing time and threw it out the window. This was a whole new card added to the deck. Damn, we had the Joker. This is the big Joker right here. Like, everything's messed up now. I've met a lot of dudes named Pops, Old School, Aunt, Nephew. Those are all nicknames, right? And we had a dude at one point. He was a kitchen worker. We called Old School my pop. Old School was actually in that pod before I got in there and had just been in there, God knows how long, how many years that man had been in 7 building. He had the same routine. Every morning, 3:30, 4 o'clock, they would pop his cell door. He would come out, make him a cup of coffee, sit at the table out there in the middle of this big-ass open pod. And all the way around it, you got cells, and then you got a top tier with cells, and then there's some tables in the center, and some TVs hanging off in the distance on the wall. Every morning, they pop his door a little early. He come out there in his kitchen whites. These white scrub-looking pants, his white shirt, his little coffee cup. Take the hot pot, fill up a cup of coffee. He'd stir, and he'd sit there with his headphones on. The daylight rooms ain't even came. The lights in the day room ain't even came on yet. And he would just, same routine. Sit there, sip his little cup of coffee, and they would say, you know, they'd knock on the glass to try to have respect for all the guys sleeping, and they'd point at him and other kitchen workers, and they'd open the sally port gate so they can go out and go across this little sidewalk called the boulevard and into the chow hall to start preparing breakfast for all the men that were going to wake up that morning. That was his routine. Comes out, drinks his coffee, takes his cup back to his cell, goes to work. He comes back later in the evening, goes to his cell, changes out of his shower, out of his kitchen whites, into a set of boxers, a t-shirt, goes over, takes his shower. He's tired. He's been in the kitchen all day. He's been working in the kitchen for years. It's a good hustle to have if you can get stuff out of there. You ain't got nobody on the outside world, which a lot of men did not. It's also a means to make a paycheck. It might be 27 cents, 35 cents, 45 cents an hour, being top paid at 45, special assignment. But it beats the blank. And it gives you a way to get out the building. And the little things you can sneak and steal and sell here and there are going to put extra commissary in your pocket, right? After he'd hit that shower, that was it for old school. You'd see him at times sit out there with some of the other old guys that had been down like he had. And I don't know how long this man had been down. I know he'd been down a long time. And you can tell when somebody's been down by a long time just by the way they carry themselves. You can see it in the position of their shoulders and their mannerisms, the way they do or do not speak up on things, who they associate with, how they deal with situations, and just all that combined tells you a lot about, you know, how long a man's been locked up. If old school didn't, and he seldomly sat out there with these other dudes and talked to him. Usually when he came in from work, that was it. He'd hit the shower, he'd go on in the cell, climb up in his rack, he liked the top bunk, turn his TV on, put his headphones on, and then every night, you know, they did the 9:30, 10 o'clock count. Right after that count, he would sleep. He was in the bed for the night, going to bed, right? His cellmate ended up getting transferred to a lower level, and there was a reason I was telling you about the gangs. At the time, we got so many gang members in our pod that, I mean, it was legitimately like gangland. Almost 75% of the altercations in there, the fightings, stabbings, disagreements, the arguments, were gang related. This gang dude comes in the cell with him, and at first everything looks cool. I didn't even know the dude was gang affiliated. A lot of times you don't. When they show up fresh off of another compound or just left receiving and ended up here, these guys, a lot of times they'll be real quiet and standoffish. And then over time, once they start to establish themselves and they find out who their squad is and they let everybody know what they are, oh, they get real loud. They get real hyped. They become the loudest person in the room. But I remember watching your ass walk in here. You look petrified. You know what I mean? Like a nun walking into a whorehouse. You look scared to death. Like you didn't know what to do or where to begin. At first, everything is cool with him in old school, right? It would appear that the dude just does his stuff. He chills with his gang homies and them. And old school just every night goes in the cell and stays in the cell. That only works for the dude for so long. Old school laid up in there one night and count had just cleared and they popped the cells open for the day room. And a bunch of little blood dudes show up at the young boy's cell while old school's up in there trying to go to sleep. Old school with the light turned off. And you got a light over top of your toilet as well. So dude was trying to halfway be respectful, but just having people at the cell making noise while that man was asleep trying to go to work was disrespecting that man altogether. No way around it, right? So he turns the light on over top of the sink. 5, 6 of his homeboys standing at the door, and they all being loud, you know, making noise. And old school tells them, y'all got to carry that on somewhere. I got to get up in the morning and go to work, right? This way you're supposed to have some respect for the person you live in a cell with. I don't care what you're going on out there. Don't disrespect the cell. We both got to share this small space. We both paying for our crimes. We both in a messed up position. The most you can do is respect my space. Now, I can understand where the youngin will get frustrated because old school never really left the cell. And that's kind of aggravating at times as well because you need time in the cell. But old school's comeback for the whole thing is, I'm gone all day. You got all day long to do all that riffraff. And I know you be having people up in here, the ashtrays be full and the room be smoked out. Like, you got all day to do that. All I ask is for the nighttime so I can rest and go to work tomorrow. Youngin don't respect it. Brings all these dudes over there, right? So old school hops down off the bed, comes out and is walking around in the day room, which we all notice it, and it's very out of character for him because, like I told you, you don't never see this man after count. When I mean never, never. Once count time clears, he's probably already asleep. If not, he's on his way. He's out there with his tennis shoes on and his little gray sweat shorts on and a white shirt, and he's just walking laps around the pod. Everybody notices him. You notice things. You pay attention to your surroundings. Any little thing that's off, you're going to catch on to. You're going to spot it. You're going to see it. You're going to pay attention to it because it's different. So guys take notice. I take notice to old school walking around, and then I look over the cell, and the young dude's hanging out over there and got his little blood homies over there at the cell door, right? So old school walks the whole night. I mean, just you can tell he's mad. We locked down probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock that night. And old school just keeps walking laps. Keeps walking laps. Keeps walking laps. They call lockdown. Little blood dudes disperse. Old school goes in a cell. We hear them argue that night. Nothing physical comes of it. But the young boys more or less really don't know who he's messing with, man. He don't know if this man a killer, if he will kill, what he's done in the past. He just figures he's an old head. I'm gang. I got plenty of dudes standing behind me. If push comes to shove, like, we'll run over top of his old ass, right? Don't nothing come of it. A little bit time goes by, and the young boy continues to do the same thing, right? Now old school's done got earplugs, and he's plugging his ears, and he's covering his eyes while he got the light on, and he's trying to sleep. But even with doing that, you can't really sleep when there's people in that cell. You don't want people moving around you. You're not going to sleep in your bed at home with guys you don't know walking all around your bed and standing beside you and smoking and doing that. It's not going to happen. So several different times, him and old school get to arguing behind this, right? And then old school snaps in the pod one day and tells him, I don't know who you think I am. You got me messed up. I'm a nice guy. I don't bother nobody. I go to work. I've been in this bitch a very long time. You're not about to come in and change up how I do my time. What you talking about? What you want to do then? Dude snatching on this old man. He's an old ass man, but don't get the age confused. With age comes wisdom and also comes history. You don't know what this man might have done in the 30, 40 years he's been in the prison. He might kill people like you for fun. He might be struggling not to kill your little dumb ass, and you over there talking shit with your homeboys. Old school talks to some of the other dudes, said, we got to do something, man. I ain't want to really go to the police and tell them, get him out the cell, but we got to figure something out before I kill his ass. And so now him and this man got to go in the cell and lock down this night after he made his threats to this young boy, which I never agreed with, making threats and not following through with them. Don't say you're going to do something. If you're going to do it, just do it. That's one part I didn't understand about this old dude, was why he would say that. Maybe he was struggling with himself and trying to get a boy the benefit of the doubt and telling him, go on now to say what you want to do. Like, I'll take you up out of here, right? They go in the cell that night and all I hear is the youngin' running his mouth. I don't hear the old head saying nothing. And the old head tells him the next day in front of everybody, he comes from work and they start that shit again. He says, oh, you're going to go up out of here one way or another, man. You're going to get up out of my cell. I'm telling you, like, I ain't with all that fighting shit. I don't bother nobody. But this going to stop, man. You keep doing this and doing this. You disrespecting me. You disrespecting the cell. You disrespecting, just the whole entire prison code of how we supposed to do things. You little gang motherfuckers got shit messed up, right? The next day, old school comes in from work, and I see the blood dude. Actually, I didn't see the blood dude. I'll get into the whole thing. All his homeboys and them had been out to rec and had just come in from rec, and he didn't go out to rec that day. He's sitting at the front table. Now, this dude, when I'm telling you he's young, he's maybe 22, 23 years old. He's talking like he wants to do this shit with old school, but you can see he don't want to really rec with him. Ain't nothing there but air and opportunity, and you ain't done nothing but run your mouth make real threats. And the old man just pretty much done told you several times, you better leave me alone. I'll take you up out of here. Young dude was sitting up at the front table. He ain't go out to work with all his homeboys. He's just kind of sitting there like he's waiting on the mail or something. Ain't really talking to nobody. Just sitting there with a look on his face. He's looking around the room, set table. Short time later, the guards come in. He already knew they were coming in. They go over to his cell, tell him pop the cell door, and they call out his name. He gets up and goes over to the cell, and they start searching the cell. I can't remember if Old School was back at this point or Old School came in, but I remember that either he came in or they called for him. But whatever happened, he shows up to the cell, and they start searching the cell, right? Old School ain't got nothing to worry about. He's a convict. He ain't gonna keep nothing in there he can't afford to get caught with. He ain't gonna keep nothing in there to get him jammed up, especially if he's over the chow hall. He's not gonna leave nothing in that cell that when them people shake down, they can find and lock him up behind. If he does got something, it's somewhere else, somewhere he can get to, but not something that he's gonna just leave laying there to get caught with. They come out the cell and they take the old man and put Old School in handcuffs, right? Young blood dude looking in the door. Oh shit, where you get that from? What's going on? What's going on? And this ain't the first time I've seen this happen. This is the elimination process I've seen used many, many times before. They take a knife from underneath the old man's mat. It ain't that old man's knife. This thing that we all seen them walk out holding in their hand didn't even really fit the description of what we was running around toting at the time. Boys that had big steel. When I mean big steel, I'm talking about shit to go through your front, out your back, and knock dents in the wall. Shit to take you up out of here that is meant to kill. They bring out this raggedy ass piece of fence that's been untwisted. We just call it a poker, right? It's only good for 5-6 pokes, and then it usually bends, right? It's a twist tie that holds the fence to the pole, right? It wraps around it. Oh, hey, nah, that ain't, nah. And he's looking at the youngin' the whole time like, man, you little son, you know what I mean? Like, he ain't gonna say it because he's a convict, but he's looking at the young boy like, you little son of a bitch. You know you put that. You couldn't. And what the young boy wanted to do was, he wasn't agreeing with the old man sleeping like that. He wasn't agreeing with Old School running his mouth. He knew he couldn't touch Old School. Old School would really take it where he wasn't ready to take it to. He wanted to get one of his little homeboys in the cell, one of his little flunkies. Not saying y'all flunkies. His homeboys were flunkies. And the only way he could do that was to get Old School up out of there. Now, Old School ain't going to go to the people and say nothing about moving him or nothing. He's going to let it play out. Whatever happens, if he kills that young boy, he kills him. If he ends up hurting him, he ends up hurting him. If he ends up hurting Old School, it happens. They took Old School up out of there. Old School's gone now. Young is walking around talking to his other homeboys. Everybody's looking like, damn, that's crazy. Like, Old School had a knife. You better take your ass up out of here, man. You better be glad they shook y'all cell down. But to us guys that been in there long enough, we're not stupid. To them guys that hung out with Old School and them other cons, they weren't stupid. A, they knew that young boy, he'd have never even wanted that pressure. He'd have never even said a word to him if he didn't have all them gang members behind him. B, he had ample time to do what he was going to do. C, we all know that Old School ain't about to go to work and leave no knife in no cell. He's not. And if it is in that cell, you better believe them guards can tear that bitch up top to bottom and they not going to find it. Trust and believe. I ain't going to tell you none of the spots, but I can tell you for fact, I've had them search and put their hand right on where my shit is and not find it. So all the little gang dudes are mobbed up talking like, damn, that's crazy. Like, dude was really going to get at you. Like, shit, I guess he had enough. And man, he wasn't going to do nothing with that bitch. Man, I'd have took that bitch from him like, trying to act hard. He's capping in front of everybody, talking about what he was going to do. You wasn't going to do nothing, boy. The other dudes, I see the other dudes that Old School would kick it with, they not making much noise. They not saying much of anything, but they're talking amongst themselves. I see dudes go up on the top 10. It's like 2 dudes at another dude's door, and they stand there talking amongst themselves. Not to where we can hear, because ain't no convict going to stand there and make all that noise like that unless you know what's coming until it's time to do it, right? Them dudes come down the staircase and approach that young boy and said, hey, that shit you did, that shit was foul. That shit was fraudulent. It was fucked up. You got to roll up out of here. You can't stay in here with us, not after you got Old School stuff out of here. Put that knife on him. Fuck you telling me I ain't put no knife on Old School, man. Y'all ain't about to put no bone on me like that. Now, this dude's homeboys ain't saying nothing. They not backing him up like they was when it was just him versus Old School. Now that these other dudes got involved in it, these dudes that really will make some noise, that are known for hurting people, that have put work in, that got that name in the prison. Now that they're addressing the situation, letting them know, we know what you did. We see your little punk ass sitting out there at the table. Why you ain't go to rec today? Why you was sitting at the table by yourself? Why you ain't join all your homeboys on the rec yard? Because you wanted to make sure when them guards came and you was in there, so they ain't take none of your shit. Make sure they found, that shit you put on old school. Nah, boy, you got to get up out of here. And if you or any of the little boys that run around here with you got any problems, y'all know what to do. Just say something. Other gang dudes ain't saying nothing. There's been a lot of times I've seen them step up when something like this happens and shit get crazy. Then there's been times you know when to leave something alone. The other boys wasn't as dumb as this youngin' was, right? They ain't saying nothing. Dude keeps looking to them every time he says something, expecting them to jump in, and they play in the background. Like, shit, you done started some problems now. Like, we ain't with all this. This done got much bigger than us making noise at the cell, right? So he goes in the cell, and during count time, he's running his mouth. You know what I mean? Yelling out at his homeboys, what's up with you, man? Look, man, for real, these dudes don't want no smoke with me. Y'all know how I get down. Y'all know what I do. Them dudes up in themselves is hearing him saying this shit. They not about to get on that door and say nothing. They listening to it. They hear the threats. I look out my cell door, and I look around the tier, and I see the dudes he's talking about. They all just stand at the door, looking down into the cell like, okay. It's a no-brainer. It's no doubt that these threats ain't going to go unanswered. Him talking to these other dudes like that ain't going to go like it did with old school, right? Nah, he's doing this all the most, trying to make everybody think he's this big bad killer, he's this gangster, right? They come through for count, and they stop at his door. They'll count, all right, 2 in this cell. Then the next officer step up, make sure both of them standing up. 2. They do that till they get done counting, and they add all the numbers up and compare them. They stop at the cell where old school was. It's just 1 in there, and they're there at that cell longer than they should be. It don't take but a second to glance in and say, oh, it ain't 2 in there, it's 1. You got 1, and keep it moving. Count clears. I'm in the cell, and I swear to you, I'm thinking to myself, man, they gonna cut this young boy down. When these cell doors pop, one of them 3 men gonna come down here, go to that cell, and butcher that little boy. And ain't nobody gonna do nothing about it. None of his homeboys ain't gonna do nothing. Because most of these boys is what I like to call accidental killers, Fisher-Price killers. That's where you just aim the gun and just shoot and you randomly kill somebody. These are men that have actually killed people. Men that have killed people with knives. Men that have gotten up close and personal and taken people's lives up out of them. Type of man that'll put his hands around your neck and choke you and watch you die. These are the men he's messing with. They call count is now cleared, such on our hours. Count is now cleared at such on hours. Resume, day room. We hear 200 door cells start popping. We hear all the dudes out in the door. Hey, yo, hold the microwave for me. Hey, let me get the phone after you. They all out next door. We're all still locked in our cells. So you got to do is, hey, pop the doors. Let us out. We already know. If our doors ain't open, these people are coming in here. There's a reason they're coming in. They're not letting us out because either we're in trouble or the guard's about to come in here. They come in with this big brown cart. We call it, the cart. And they push it over to the young boy's cell. Hey, what's going on, man? He's acting stupid, like he don't know what's going on. They bag all his stuff up, put it in bags, put it in the cart, put him in handcuffs, lead him up out of there. Man, I don't know what's going on, man. I think they got me jammed up on this knife shit. Maybe old school told them it was my knife or something. I don't know. Hey, I'm going to holler at y'all, though. Come on in the rec yard, holler at me, because the holes you facing the rec yard or 7 door. Come out on the rec yard, holler at me in the hole, man. Yeah, I'm going to be back. Y'all be easy. All right, though, all right. He's yelling all this stuff, right? It appears he's jammed up on the knife situation that old school's got going on. The knife he put on old school is now, it looks like it's falling back on him. He's being put on investigation. He goes up out of there. The sergeant we had the next day was a straight shooter. That's the best way to put it. He didn't play no games. He told you what it was. He did his job. Didn't really have no favors, but if you stayed out the way, he really wasn't going to bother you. And the little blood dudes were still making noise. Hey, why y'all lock my homeboy up? Why y'all lock my homeboy up? He ain't had nothing to do with that knife, man. Y'all got my homeboy locked up behind that knife. That's some bullshit. That wasn't his knife. Sergeant told him right in front of everybody. Locked up behind that knife? Huh. See, that's what's wrong with y'all. Y'all think y'all know everything. Your little homeboy checked in last night. Guess he had some problems with somebody in here. When they did count last night, he gave them officer a little piece of paper, told them they had to get him up out of here. He feared for his life. That boy made all that noise, made all them threats, did all that. Thought his homeboys is friends was going to have his back? No, sir. They wasn't about to jump out there. Dudes he swore was going to ride for him. They was all ready to get it when it was old school. But when it became more than one, and the numbers started to line up, and them 3 men combined were more dangerous than 15, 20 of them, they all fell back. Left the youngin' to himself. He knew what it was when the doors was going to open. One of the men was going to come down there and put something in him. Try to take him up out of here for the threats he had made, for running his mouth, for getting old school taken up out of there like that. And he was expecting that since he was gang, everybody's going to ride for him. We're going to mob up and go down on these dudes. When them other dudes knew, nah, we not ready to take it where they ready to take it to. You gonna end up get your dumb ass killed. You ain't getting none of us killed. They fell back, and the youngin' checked in and got up out of there. Let's get into the next story. You know, it's a sad fact that whenever you're doing better than somebody else, some people are genuine and will be happy for you. Then there's other people that, well, they're like that wolf in sheep's clothing. They pretend to be with you, pretend they're happy for you, but they envy you. They smile with you, they laugh with you, they joke, they build with you, they tell you things personal to get close to you. And you start to trust them. You think this person's okay. When in reality, they're only doing that to get next to you because of what you got. The whole entire time they're next to you, they really don't even like you. They're running con on you, running a game on you, make you think they're your friend. And like I said, all they want is what you got to offer. I've had that happen, but that's what the next story is going to be on. Aside from that, let me tell you some of the things I've seen friends do. I've seen guys' wives that have been coming to the prison for years to see them stop coming to see them, stop answering their phone calls. Then a year later, you go over in the visiting room, and you see that woman sitting in the visiting room like, damn, she came back, man. Damn, she messing with the dude again. And the dude, he doesn't walk in and walks his friend that sits down at the table. I've seen it happen. I've seen guys that were friends in prison. It's my friend. Get out of prison and go home and have babies with their friend's baby mama. I had it happen to me, personally. Somebody I knew a very long time. I knew from the streets that I ran across in prison. Somebody I did time with in prison would go home and become my baby mama's second baby daddy. Them friends, they're the ones that get at you, man. When it's somebody that's your enemy, your op, and they get at you, you expect it. It don't really hurt you, except in the physical aspect if they get, to that point. But it doesn't really hurt you emotionally. It doesn't hurt you mentally because you were prepared for that. You didn't like them. But when it's somebody you call your friend, it's a whole nother level of pain involved with it. You didn't see it coming. You got hit with the okie doke. You got blindsided. Your friends are the ones that are most capable of hurting you. They can hurt you the most, should I say. Because they're not the ones that you expected. Real fact, most of our enemies start out as people we know. Or they become our enemies through people we know. You ever thought about that? Look at your enemies. Look at the people you don't like. At one point, for a lot of them, you knew them. Or you liked them. That was your friend, right? I had a homeboy, man. And at one point in my bed, I was in the jail and I was getting weed brought in. Not brought in, actually mailed in. And they don't let the inmates get mail anymore because they've been taught us off. But I used to get these cards and it would be a duplicate card. Go to CVS, buy 2 of the identical same card. You're going to take this weed, you're going to break it up real fine, and you're going to lay it on the first card. And you're going to layer this whole card, right? And then you're going to take that other card and cut the front of it off, glue around the edges of it, and cover the first card. Then you're going to iron it with an iron. And it's going to look like one card, but the front's going to have 2 covers to it. When it makes it to me, I peel off the front and dump the weed out. I've been doing this for the longest time. Prior to that, I had a couple dudes I rocked with in there. But with the weed, I'm not just going to sit around smoking weed all day. I'm not a hippie. I mean, like, I can't smoke all this weed. And I'm getting cards every other day. I wouldn't do it every day because I didn't want to, raise suspicion. But 2-3 times a week, a card's coming in. I go from having a couple dudes I kick it with to dudes I'm selling weed in there too. Starting to rack up on commissary. Having people send money out. Having people send money to my books. We had a thing called Green Dot at the time. For y'all to remember what the Green Dot card was. I had all these different ways of having money sent. And I was making money off this weed. That little $20 sack of weed that is on the streets, once it's broke up real fine and put in that card, it's a couple $100 once it hits my hands, right? Easy. That shit you brush off your jeans after you roll a blunt in the car. You know, you get off out the car, you roll a blunt, you dust your pants off. Shit, that's $10 right there you just dust off. Better believe it, that's a stick of weed. With me selling the weed, I started making all these new friends. Guys I never really kicked it with before, and I was young at the time. You could say I was green to an extent. I don't peep the fact that these dudes wasn't rocking with me like that before I had this weed, but I'm thinking the weed is like the common denominator that brought us together. That's why we're friends now. I'm glad I got the weed. Damn, I'd have never met this dude. No, he was so cool, right? This will take place for the longest time. Now, with your friends, they expect you to give them things. I already smoke with y'all. You're going to have to pay to play, though. I'll smoke with you, but as far as like breaking you off and just giving you something, I'm taking penitentiary chances here. I'm taking big risks. Why would I take these risks and not profit and just give it away? That is stupid. That is hustling backwards. If my people going to take a risk, I'm going to take a risk. There's monetary gain involved. I'm not no Sammy Sausage Head, no Jimmy Green Bean. I'm not just giving this stuff away. I'll smoke a stick with you here and there, but if you want some, you got to pay just like everybody else. It ain't no discounts, ain't no half-offs. This is business, right? I'm going to leave dude's name out the shit just for general purpose. He's around where I live at. He knows what he did. He starts to owe me money. In the past, he had always paid. The money had always been good. You know, hey, my girl gets paid on Friday. She'll take care of it Friday. You'll get the money slip Monday or Tuesday. All throughout that week, I'm here. I'm feeding it to him. I have no reason to think that he's not going to pay me. I have no reason to think that his girl ain't got the money to pay me. Friday rolls around. Yeah, I got you. It's this much, right? My girl gonna send you the money. Don't worry about it. I said, all right. That Sunday, we're in our cells, and they just finished counting. We were short-handed. We had an officer at the time named Officer Sampler. Would never come to work. This dude would always brag about how he had all these females in the streets. He'd be out smoking and drinking and hitting the clubs. And, man, y'all gonna be locked down tomorrow. I'm telling about to hit the club when I get out of here tonight. I'm not even coming in tomorrow. Like, y'all gonna be locked down. And when he wouldn't come in on his shift, we would have to be locked down. We didn't have no officer to work the floor. The jail was short-staffed, right? So we're in our cells. I got weed in the cell. I got this little stuff in these little... I'd take the commissary slip, measure the stuff out, take a toothpaste cap, fill it up, or a chapstick cap, fill it up, dump it in the little piece of paper, fold it up, write a number on it, put a piece of the deodorant, the sticker from the deodorant to use it to seal the piece of paper and wrap it around. And I had all these little bundles of weed I was selling, right? The thing about these doors in these institutions are, they're loud. Your senses, as certain things are taken from you, other senses are heightened. Like, you know, you lose the emotional touch of a woman. You lose the sexual feeling from being touched by a woman. You lose some of your senses, but other senses start to heighten themselves. Your hearing, you're just the feeling inside of something going wrong. I'm in my cell on this day, and I get this feeling in my stomach like something's just... it's not right. Something's off. And before I even knew anything was coming, something told me, get that weed, get it, and, you know, just put it towards the sink, just in case. We're on lock. They can come in here and randomly start shaking down. But I just felt uneasy in my stomach as I sat in that cell, right? So I said, man, I get down off the bunk, get the weed out. I got it inside of an envelope box, right? Get it out the envelope box. And I've got them all folded up, and I got that inside of a piece of paper that's folded. And I laid on top of the sink. Go back to what I'm doing, and I hear that loud-ass gate up front. Slide open. And like I said, your senses are heightened. Hearing keys, a walkie-talkie, a pair of them black boots them guards wear, them doors opening. I mean, you know, the static from a radio, the slightest movement outside that cell. If your ears are trained, you're going to pick up on there's a presence outside there. I hear the door open. I get up. I go over, look at the door. And we had at the time we called them white shirts. That's like the main dude in charge, right? Here he comes in, and he's got two officers with him. They coming straight towards my cell. See him. Got my hand on the weed, standing there at the door. It's in my hand. I'm looking, and they're looking straight at me. I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, and I tell my cellie, hey, the guards are coming. I throw this shit in the toilet, I flush it, it goes down. I go, sit on my bunk. We ain't got no TVs at this time, just the radio. Grab my little radio, put my earbuds in, messing with the radio station, can't really get a good service in the cell, and my cell door opens, and the doors swing open, right? At this place. They tell me, hey, come here, step up, get out, step outside the cell, cuff up. I step up, take my earbuds out, lay my radio down. What's going on? I cuff up. They stand me outside the cell. Tell my cellie, strip down, they search on. I go in, they search me, and they, got us both cuffed standing outside the cell. They tear the cell apart, rip that cell, to shreds. When it's all over, I'm asking, I'm like, yo, what is y'all doing, man? Why y'all just, the shit's everywhere. My letters are all over the ground. My family's photos all over the ground. Commissaries all mixed together. His stuff, my stuff is now mixed together. Our personal items, our hygiene, our clothing, all this stuff is pushed into a big pile in the middle of the floor, right? So they unhandcuff my cellie and tell him to go back in the cell, and they tell me, come with us. Where we going? We're going to the investigator's office. The hell we going to the investigator's office for what? You'll find out when you get there. I get to the investigator's office and they bring me in and they sit me down in the chair and I'm sitting in handcuffs. I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? I ain't made no noise. Like, the fuck y'all got going? Why y'all got me in this office? You're gonna find out in a minute. Hold on. Investigators will take their sweet ass time. He might be all the way across the jail. It might take him 30, 45 minutes. But one of them guards gonna stand there while you sit in this office. So I sit there it felt about 30 minutes, man. There's no clock on the wall. There's the bare minimum files and paperwork and stuff on the desk, old ass computer sitting there, his chair and whatnot, some filing cabinets behind him, bland ass like tobacco yellow room. Looks like people just smoked cigarettes in it forever. And the investigator comes in and sits down. How you doing, Williams? Knows my name, pull my face card and all that. I said, I'm good, man. What's going on with you? So you want to tell me about the officer here, or what do I need to do? I said, what you mean about the officer here? The officer you in cahoots with? What do you mean? Though? I'm not in cahoots. What is you I'm blown. I don't have a clue what the hell they talking about, right? He says, well, look, man, we can go ahead and I'll just show it to you and then you can answer after I show it to you, because we got to get to the bottom of this, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in it because I see shit like this all the time, but it's my job to investigate what's going on, right? I said, all right, so, what, we're going to beat around the bush all day? You're going to show me what you got. He pulls out this piece of paper, lays it on the counter, and I don't remember word for word what the paper said, but it said somewhere along the lines of, inmate Williams is in a romantic, whatever the hell that word is. He's in a relationship with an officer here at the jail. The officer's bringing things in for him, and in due time, he's going to find his way up out of this jail. She's going to help him, and I just thought y'all should know about this. I'm blown. I said, look, man, we barely even have a female officer in the pod, so I don't even know where this is coming from. Like, our daytime officer's a dude, the next shift is a dude, then we got an old-ass woman that fills in every now and then we got dudes at night. Like, y'all should be smart enough to know that this is bullshit. Somebody... Well, what you got going on? You got people, you gambling, you running a store box, you selling drugs. What you doing? You doing something, because somebody wants your ass up out of here. If you're not doing what this piece of paper says, then somebody's got an ulterior motive and wants to get you gone. I'm sitting there looking at the paper, and as they're talking to me, I'm looking at the handwriting on it, and I notice it says he's from Richmond, the female officer is from Richmond, and they know each other from the outside world. But the only thing that stood out to me in the whole letter was the word Richmond. And the reason it stood out to me is whenever you write a city, you write it with a capital. You know what I mean? If you're in, New York, it's going to start with a capital N. Richmond was written with a lowercase r. I'm looking at the letter, and I remember that stood out to me, why would it be a lowercase r? This dude's an idiot, whoever wrote this letter. So I tell him, I said, look, y'all went through all my mail, man. Y'all done went through everything I got. Y'all see, I ain't doing nothing. We don't even got no female guard on the shift like that. I don't be going nowhere else in the jail. It's controlled movement. Like, this is bullshit. I don't know. Somebody maybe just is jealous of me. I don't know what's going on, but y'all done y'all's job. I told y'all what I know. I ain't done nothing wrong, so what we gonna do from here? We watching you. Stay out the way now, because whoever sent this, we supposed to lock your ass up on the investigation for this. We need to know what's going on, but I believe you. I don't believe you talking to no female guard. I don't believe nobody's bringing anything into you, because we're not really finding nothing out the ordinary in here. So if they bringing it in, y'all real good at hiding it. So I'm gonna just send you back in the population. That's all right. I go back and I tell my cellmate, I'm like, yo, somebody dropped a letter, man, telling these people I was gonna escape. That I had a female guard I'm in a relationship with, trying to, do this and do that. He's like, who you think it is? I was like, bro, I have no clue. They leave us on lock. The next morning we come out and I give the little dudes I think are my friends. And the one dude that owes me money, now looking back on it, he was the most concerned about what was going on. Damn, man, I'm glad they didn't lock you up. What happened? I told him, somebody dropped a letter on me, man. Maybe one of these dudes in here that owe me, I don't know. But somebody trying to get me gone. Damn, Jay, be careful, right? I would say it was maybe 3-4 weeks, and the money that week didn't hit. That Monday, I didn't get no money slip. That Tuesday, I didn't get no money slip. So I went to him, and I'm not going to carry like I'm going to carry with everybody else, because I consider this dude my friend. I said, bro, something messed up, man. You sure Shorty sent the money? Yeah, I get on the phone. She'll tell you she sent the money. Now, I'm not about to get on your phone and have me on the phone talking about no money. Like, nah, hell nah. He's like, I'm telling you she sent the money. Around that Wednesday or that Thursday, the money showed up. Now, I done told my people, don't send nothing else in the mail. The people watching me. They snatched me up. They questioning me. No more cards, no more none of that. We sat down and I talked to my people through the glass and said, do not send no more cards, right? My homeboy B, maybe a month and a half later, gets sent off to prison. I'm still in the jail. Before he leaves, he brings me things he's not going to need when he gets to prison. Magazines and just other little stuff they're not going to let him take, right? I'd be in the jail probably another 3-4 months before I put it together. I was sitting there reading through one of them. We had the, FM magazines and the Maxims and all them. No, like, pornographic magazines, but the Maxim magazines, the boss in jail. Like, everybody loved him. I'm reading one of these Maxim magazines I got from him, and on the inside cover he had written his name in it, and then he had Richmond 804 and all this other stuff he had written with an ink pen. I'm looking at the word Richmond, and it's written with a lowercase r, just like in that letter that they gave to the investigators that somebody dropped on me. The whole entire time this dude was eating with me, smoking with me, getting stuff with me, all the way up until when he went to prison. He was the one that dropped that note on me. I trusted that dude. Thought he was my friend. Crazy enough, sitting there reading the magazine, he left me before he went to prison. I was smart enough to put 2 and 2 together. He wrote his name in big block letters right inside the magazine. Dudes will doodle with pens and stuff on their board. They sit and said ain't got nothing to do. Wrote his name all in there, 804, Richmond underneath of it. And his dumb ass wrote it with a big ass lowercase r. And tried to get me eliminated. Just another one of them lessons on who your friends really are. Just because somebody's smiling, don't mean they're happy. Sometimes people will smile at you to hide how they really feel. Just because they talk good to you to your face, don't mean they don't talk bad about you behind your back. The people you think you trust, most times you really can't. I am slow to trust, very slow. I've lost people I've known my whole life behind their actions, things they've done, envy, jealousy, being two-faced. And then when everything comes to the fan, they still, when it all comes to light, they still want to try to point the finger at you and somehow tell you how you're the problem, how it's your fault, to make up for whatever it is that they're doing, that they did wrong. They'll betray you, and then in some way, shape, or form, try to make it out like you're part of the problem. Lie to your face, and then try to justify what's going on. They say trust is given until it's taken away. With me, trust has to be earned. You don't just get my trust. How can I just give you something that you haven't earned? I used to do that. And because of friends, things aren't the same. As you can see these? I'm at work. These man hands. I got to get back on my grind, get back on my job. Had to jump in here and get these videos out to y'all. I am now down to a 3-man crew. Be cleaning up shop around here. I told y'all I wasn't going to let the company go. I told y'all I was going to get rid of the problems. Got a new guy starting tomorrow. I got some more guys starting here in the near future. And in the meantime, anything that's a problem is going to go. And I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on the ones that keep calling me their friend. But anyways, these jails, institutions, detention centers, these prisons, they're all just crazy worlds outside of this already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams. Let's live life. To all my real ones, and there are some real ones watching, because y'all still watching me. Man, y'all know how we do. Salute. Friends, how many of us have them? Not many. Believe that.